Hey, it's Johara. Welcome back to my channel, The Witchy Reader. So I'm going to be discussing the book I read kind of recently. I think it was at least a month or two ago, called Wyrm by Adam Andrews Johnson. So I love this book. I love a lot of what I read from him. I've read, um, I think I've mostly read his horror series, The Mantis Gland, but I have his sci-fi duology on my TBR, which he sent me. I've been meaning to read, as well as he just sent me a new fantasy book he wrote, so I'll be reading that soon as well. And I love his work. I love writes amazing horror, so I'm excited to see how he does fantasy and sci-fi as well. Um, but Clownworm, there were a lot of things I love about this. I love the characters. And obviously there is queer representation for anyone who wants some queer horror kind of related sort of thing. Um, and the main characters are Mercury and Periwinkle. And what I loved about this, a lot of times when you hear stuff about clown and horror in the same sentence, is always about the killer clown. There's It, obviously probably one of the most famous ones. There's Terrifier, which I have seen. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which I have not seen. And there is one more that came out very recently that I do want to see because it actually looks really good, called Clowns in a Cornfield or something like that. Um, but what I loved about this, I love when a book throws away a stereotype. Like a lot of time, like I just said, whenever you hear clowns and horror in the same sentence, it's usually because there's a killer clown and that's the bad guy. But here, no, the clowns were actually the good guys. Mercury and Periwinkle were clowns, and they're the ones that are involved in all of this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that. Um, First of all, I love their friendship. Anyone who knows me knows I'm big on friendship, and so there's really no romance. But like I said, there is queer representation, so that's always nice. Um, oh, there is a little like romance. Like there's a couple you do meet, um, but it's very on the side, kind of like his romance of the Mystic and his husband in the Mantis Gland. Um, but it was so interesting because Mercury and Periwinkle are clowns, and then they get kind of thrown back in time or another dimension or something, and now they're in this world where there are knights and there is like a king overruling these people, and then they find themselves in the like rebellion. They find some more clowns. They need help because after being kidnapped and being like they kind of ran off, and they end up losing like their clown outfits, their clown makeup. So they end up finding more clowns to try to dress more like clowns because they feel like more like themselves when they're dressed as clowns. And they end up finding people who are a part of this rebellion to stop the king. And it was really interesting because one thing I liked was Mercury. I think that was the boy. It's been a minute since I read this, so forgive me. But uh, a lot of times when you see these things, it's like, yeah, let's join the rebellion, let's be part of this. But honestly, that's not always realistic because even if you do see a rebellion, it's very hard to actually join them, even if you agree with the cause because it's like there's so much going on, and it's like you could be risking yourself, and it's like it can be scary. And I really like that he was kind of hesitant about joining because it's like I'm not exactly a fighter, what am I supposed to do sort of attitude. And it's like at least I don't know if other people might, but I didn't perceive it as selfish. I perceived it as like just human. Like, of course, you're going to be hesitant about joining something so massive, so important. Like, most people would be, honestly. Um, but he does end up joining. They end up meeting the rebellion. And there were so many great characters. Like I said, there is a relationship you do meet, and they were cute. Um, and there was a fight. And there was, it was just really good. And like I said, I love seeing clowns be on the right side in a horror instead of, being the evil ones. And it was really interesting, and being clowns were very important to them, so it's like it was part of who they were, but it wasn't all of who they were, which I like. Which you can say about like queer too. Like, yeah, it is a part of us, but it's not all who we are. Um, and I definitely recommend this book for anyone who likes clowns or horror or whatever, who loves, queer representation and stereotypes being thrown out the window. Because that's one thing I also loved. That's something he's really good about. Being like, okay, this is a stereotype that I hate, let's turn it around. Because that's what he did in Mantis Gland, too. Because, especially with everything going on in the world with like drag queens and stuff, he made the drag queens the heroes, and they even run their own like orphanage and stuff. And it's like he really perceives them as these amazing people, which drag queens are. And yeah, there are horrible people in the world, and yeah, maybe in the world there might be a drag queen here and there that's not that great. But it's like anything, it doesn't mean that all drag queens are horrible, and they're not. And I love seeing him just be like, I don't like the stereotype, so let's just turn it around. And that's what he did. In the Mantis Clan with the drag queens, I loved it. Uh, the drag queen characters um, are amazing. Auntie Peg, love her. And and then he did it again with Clown Worm. It's like these clowns these clowns were like this huge part in the story, but it wasn't because they were killing or because they were evil or whatever. It's because they were good people thrown into another world and thrown into this kind of rebellion, and then deciding that they didn't want to just sit back. They wanted to be a part of it. They wanted to help these people they met and had started to care for. They wanted to help this world become better when it's being run by basically a tyrant. And I just love how he does that, because it's very important. Because stereotypes, I mean, there's stereotypes about everything, but there are some stereotypes that can be harmful. Like, this is probably why people are so terrified of clowns. I mean, I'm not. Then again, like, I don't know, horror doesn't really scare me, so maybe that's why. But like stuff like the It and Terrifier and Clowns in a Cornfield and Killer Clowns from Outer Space, they're giving clowns a bad rep, especially since that's the main thing you hear about when you hear about clowns. It's this clown killed, this clown killed. When in reality, most clowns are just, at birthday parties trying to make balloon animals for children. Like, that's literally the truth about clowns. I mean, don't get me wrong. Not all clowns are great, and I'm pretty sure there was a case in real life where a clown was killing, but it was like one case out of the millions of cases where a clown did not kill. So, um, and it's like, so yeah, it doesn't mean clowns are bad, and I just love when a stereotype that can be harmful to a certain group of people is just like thrown out of the window, like, nope, we're not doing that today. And I love it. I feel like he's great with that. Same with the drag queens. Like, drag queens are getting a bad rep these days, because of all the hateful stuff crap going on in the world. And um but Auntie Pig is such a great character. So is her partner. I can't remember her name right now because it's been a while since I've read the books, because I last read the fifth book and I haven't made any more for the series. So, been a hot minute. But I love them. I love their relationship. I love how they run an orphanage for children. And I love how they are perceived as good and kind and heroic, because drag queens are amazing, and so are clowns. And and there's so many harmful stereotypes out there, so seeing somebody be just throw them away is amazing to see. And the climax of this book was so good. Their plan and the fight and the sneaking around and um all of it, just so amazing. He writes amazing horror, amazing deaths, amazing fights. So definitely highly recommend all his books. Definitely check out Clownworm. I don't think it was that long of a book. I think it was around maybe 300 pages, so not too bad. Um, and I just really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend all his books. Um, So definitely check Clown Worm out. Highly, highly recommend. Can't recommend it enough. I find it absolutely amazing. And same with the Mantis Clan. And I can't wait to read his new fantasy book as well as the sci-fi duology as well, because I'm sure they're going to be just as amazing as all his other works. So thank you for listening to me rant about this amazing author, and I'll chat with you guys next time.